conditions up here have been getting better as the day's been going along. The last trip up, I mean, the summit is just barely in the clouds. Hopefully it'll lift enough to get the observation deck out of the clouds. But the temperature up there was 54. And the winds are about 25 miles an hour, so it's a pretty tame day for now Washington standards. And my name is John. I'm going to be the brakeman on this trip. And since we don't use brakes going up the hill, my duty on the way up is to stand out here on this platform. I need to be the forward lookout for the engineer. The engineer back there cannot see the tracks in front of him, so he relies on me to do that for him. If there was any debris or anything that I do see wrong with the tracks, I can stop the train from up here.
Is that the old one?
Now this river that we're about to cross is called the Ammonoosuc River. It's one of the coldest, cleanest rivers you'll ever see. That's because there's two lakes up on the Ammonoosuc Ravine that feed this river. Those lakes are called Lakes of the Clouds. They are at an elevation of 5,000 feet and are the highest bodies of water east of the Mississippi River. Now the Ammonoosuc River winds its way 48 miles, empties into the Connecticut River, which is the natural border between Vermont and New Hampshire. Now just a little bit about the trip that we're about to make here. We do go to top speed of 5 miles an hour all the way to the top, so hang on tight. We do go 100 miles an hour to the bottom. Now each trip will be 40 minutes. You will be up there for 1 hour. This train is laying over for that hour, so you'll be getting back on the same train when you come back down. To the top, it doesn't turn around because it goes backwards on the way back down. What happens when we get to the top before you get back on? The seats flip, so you'll be facing down the hill when we go down the hill. Also, the coach and the locomotive are not connected by any mechanical means. There's no chain or no pin holding us together. We're simply just resting up against the locomotive by gravity. He's just pushing us up the mountain, and there's a safety reason for that. We do have what's called a sprag braking system that's on right now, which does not allow the wheels to go backwards on this coach. So if something did happen to the locomotive and it started going down the hill and couldn't take us with it, we would simply stop right where we are. We would wave goodbye to our locomotive and hope it well on its way down. Steve, by the way, is our engineer. Now we're going to be going by a water tank up here, about a quarter of the way up the mountain. Once we get past that water tank, people will be able to get up out of your seats and walk around the coach. That's when the views are going to come into play. So if you want to go to the back windows and take photographs, you're more than welcome to do so. Also, you can come right up here to the front door, take photographs. I can't let anybody out on the platform while the train is in motion, but you can come right up here to the front door and take pictures. And if you have any questions, feel free to come up and ask me. Hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you. But we will wait for that until we get past that water tower. Also, just to give you an idea of the grades that we're going to be traveling at today, the average grade on this track is 25%. And what that means is, for every 100 feet that we advance, we gain an elevation of 25 feet. But it is going to get much steeper in a couple of the places on the track. Our steepest part of the track is a grade of 37.41. Now, just to give you a visual on that, when we get to that point, the front of the coach is going to be 14 feet higher than the back of the coach. Just to give you a quick description of the Cog technology, if you think of a bicycle sprocket that's turning the chain on the bicycle, well here the chain is running at the center of our tracks, and the sprockets, or the cog rails, in our case, are climbing up that chain. Very simple, very effective. It's been working here for 148 years. There is no power delivered to the wheels that are on the rails. Also, now that we're just getting underway, I'm going to give you a brief history of the Cog Railway. This whole idea of this mountain climbing train was conceived by a gentleman by the name of Sylvester Marsh. Sylvester Marsh grew up in a small town just south of here in Campton, New Hampshire. grew up on a family farm. It was on that family farm he became very mechanically inclined. And in his mid-teens, he was the go-to guy in town to get things fixed. Now this was a talent that would serve him very well later on in his life. After his schooling, he moved to the Chicago area, where he was employed in the meatpacking and the grain industry. Became very successful in that industry and ended up owning 2 patents. And at the age of 52, he had decided that he was going to retire and move back to his native land of New Hampshire. He had no idea what he was going to do during his retirement until one day he went on a hike right up here at Mount Washington with a friend of his. It was intended to be a one-day hike, but when they got above tree line, they got into trouble. A very bad storm had moved in. It was freezing rain. Hurricane-force winds were blowing. And in fact, 2 hikers did perish that day in that storm. Sylvester and his friend did just barely make it to the tip-top house at the summit. The tip-top house is still there today. You'll see that when you get to the summit today. They were forced to spend the night there because of the time of day that they had arrived. They did not have enough daylight to make it back down. But it was the next morning when he woke up, walked out that front door of the tip-top house. It was a crystal clear morning. You could see the sun reflecting off the Atlantic Ocean, and he just couldn't believe the views that he was looking at up there. And that was his inspiration for building this railway. So it was upon his return from that hike that he had decided that he was going to invent a mechanical means to get people up and down this mountain safer and more quicker than hiking. So he immediately went to work on his plans. He built a prototype steam engine and a small section of tracks right down here at the base for demonstration purposes. He was met with a lot of skepticism early on. In fact, they called him Crazy Marsh. They didn't think in their wildest dreams that a train would be able to climb to the top of Mount Washington. It did take him 9 years to finally convince the investors that he needed, and also the New Hampshire state legislature to get the charter they needed to build this railway. So it was in the year 1866 that the construction began here, 1 year after the Civil War had ended. Am I coming across too loud for you guys? No? Okay. So it took 3 years, 300 men to finish this railway. And it was on July 3rd, 1869, the very first passengers were brought up to the summit. In fact, it was the next month, in August of 1869, President Ulysses S. Grant wrote up this railway. The first steamers that went up and down this railway were wood-burning steamers. They had a vertical boiler that was hinged, so that no matter what grade the train was at, that boiler stayed perfectly vertical. Now, those were converted to coal-burning steamers in the early 1900s. The coal provided a hotter burn, more steam pressure, and a faster trip up and down the mountain. Still do run our 1 steam engine every morning, first run of the day.